afternoon, everyone. This is Tony from Her Homestead Skills, and today I would like to discuss food insecurity. And if you've been watching my channel, this is what we're trying to alleviate as much as we can and encourage people to stock up on the current harvest that is available to us this year. And we do that through various means of preservation, like canning, dehydrating, fermenting, drying. Like, there's just so many different ways that we can preserve food, and we encourage you all to do so as much as possible. Oh, and also buying just store-bought, ready-dried foods, which is fine, like your pastas and your flour and salt and sugar. And yes, I'm constantly encouraging you to put a little bit of this away as much as you can every single week until you have a little bit of a stockpile that's good for whatever the term is that you're going to save for, whether it's a month, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 10 years. That really is up to you. But putting some food away in this day and age is a very good thing to do. We have governments telling their population to stock up on food because there will be shortages. We have shortages on just about everything. Yes, I was getting my car worked on this morning, and one of the issues that the fellow who owns the shop tells me is that he's had issues getting people to work because they all quit during COVID when they could stay at home and get paid for doing nothing. And the other issue, of course, is getting parts, and he still has difficulty doing that. So things are not back to normal. Some people are going back to work, some are not. Things are slowly, it might take a year or two before things resolve themselves. What is normal? We're likely going to have to deal with a new normal, whatever that will be, and that will be just a readjustment of society. And one of the issues that has come to light is food insecurity. I mean, during COVID, they made sure that people who manufactured food and who transported food and who made sure that the store shelves were full all worked. And they looked after them and made sure that there was no hindrances to them performing their jobs because they were essential services. I mean, there were other industries also designated essential services and supported to maintain employment, where others were totally decimated. And will probably, some of them will never rise again. But we're discussing food insecurity today. Now, all those people that were protected, delivering our food to us, they have now become targets of the governments all over the world. We've had a serious truckers' protest in Canada that was crushed, and they were just protesting mandates that were newly imposed on them, whereas one day they were heroes, the next day they were illegal lawbreakers. And though they were doing nothing different, the government just turned on them. And after the truckers, now we're beginning to see, and I'm sure that there's other protests everywhere else based on similar things. We had Sri Lanka fall because of economic pressures, and I believe probably food insecurities there caused the governments to fall, people to protest, and the governments to be overturned. And we've had recent farmers' protests. Now, farmers have been telling us for the last year, if not longer, that there are problems in their industry, and that people are not being made aware. They are lulled into the belief that everything is just fine, that store shelves are full, even though they're playing with those shelves to make it look like they're more full than what they are. And yes, some store shelves have absolutely all the food that they could want, and others don't. So it is a bit of a hit and miss. And then you have the other side of that. Okay, not too long ago we did have a rash of theft of very expensive foods, like your good quality steaks were being stolen, and they were put under lock and key. And recently, the most amusing, but sadly not really amusing, fact is that Spam has also been put under lock and key in New York. Now, is that a food insecurity issue? Is that a crime issue? Is it both? And what are we doing about it? Apparently crime is break and enter and smash and grabs are becoming far too common, and they're being allowed to get away with these things in certain areas. And the more that they're allowed to get away with them, the more that they occur. And what can shopkeepers do except, if they're not being protected by the forces that are supposed to be looking after them, they have to start looking after themselves, obviously. Everyone, self-preservation is just as important to shopkeepers as it is to those that are stealing food for whatever reason. I would hope that they are just, if they're stealing food because they're hungry, and not because it's something that they can sell to the hungry. A crime of convenience. But the idea of putting a can of Spam under lock and key is rather odd, because the way I view that is that the container that holds the can of Spam is probably worth more than the can of Spam itself. So, I mean, they are specialized plastic boxes that have a key, and you can put an item in there, and people can't just walk out with them until they do, until they stop caring about that, and then they just smash the box as well. Not to give anybody ideas, but that is certainly something that can occur. Okay, on top of that we have animals going to slaughter that won't be reproducing, and that's in the steer, the cattle, the pigs, the chickens. So next year you're going to see a lot fewer of those animals. And on the rise we have Canada is now home to the largest cricket factory in the world. It's a facility run by Aspire, who are known as a global industry leader in the production of edible insects. They will generate, now this is according to Rebel News, they will generate 9,000 metric tons of crickets that can be consumed by humans and pets. So in spite of the fact that they are promoting the idea that this is strictly for food or consumption for pets initially, that will not be the long-term goal of this firm. Now, I don't know about you, but I have no intention of eating bugs, although I'm sure that their drive is to promote that. I have no issue with them developing technologies to feed pets and to feed livestock and to feed other animals, if that is a scientifically based viable solution. But I have no intention of eating bugs myself, and I certainly don't want my children to be forced to eat them either. So we have an issue here. We have a difference of opinions, ideologies, thought processes, determine beliefs on where our world should be heading. And it is going to come to a head. What is it? What is the future that we want, and how are we going to get there? And it has come to, I've come to the realization that a certain amount of involvement is necessary. You just can't sit on the sidelines and expect somebody else to create the world that you want to see, because they will create the world that they want to see, whether that suits you or not. Every individual is a part of the whole. Every individual has a right to be heard. Every individual has a voice, has a stomach, has a mind to think for themselves, and we all have a say in how our societies are run. And it is not strictly a matter of a few people determining how the world should be ordered and organized, and the rest of us just put up with it. So, protest, protest, protest. You're going to see a lot more of them. Food shortages. All I can say is try to grow your own, or have something that you can barter with some farmers, and yet be willing to pay a few extra dollars for real food, because it's going to come to that. Now, somebody might consider crickets real food, and that's fine, that's their choice. I don't, and I will not willingly eat that. Anyway, this is Tony from Her Homestead Skills. Hopefully I haven't been rambling too much, but I want to once again just encourage people with the harvest season coming into full swing very soon, to be able to can up, preserve, store, dry as much food as you possibly can for the year ahead. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.